Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Check, check, check. What is wrong here? Check, 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 check. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? So you can hear me now? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Anybody? Oh my gosh. It's always something, isn't it, guys? I was going to try out a fancy new mic and everything. I don't think that had something to do with it. I'm afraid to hook it back up to find out. I may do a test live sometime this weekend to see if I can get my mic set up. Maybe it did something to the laptop when I hooked it up. Oh, sorry guys. It's always something, man. I wanted that first. I got the chat room. Some of you guys remember I had a problem with my chat room last time. It took almost 5 hours and 4 different people at the help desk to help me with that problem. So how's everybody doing tonight? I was going to go over, I usually don't really know what I'm going to say, but we're so close to the election. I figured we'd see something. Anyways, didn't want my top of my head cut off there, guys. I figured I'd go over a few things that is quite interesting. I don't know if some of you guys have you seen that little. I don't know what it is. It's cringe worthy for sure. And every topic in this little commercial about Trump's stance on some of the issues, it's just ridiculous. I still don't know how to throw stuff up on the screen, but I figure I'd play it on my phone now that you guys can actually hear me. I'll play that here in a few. But I'm sorry. I have to keep doing this, getting over to a new screen. It's crazy. Hey, Janice. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna say. Is that Viennese, like in Viennese sausages? I just want to say hi, Wes. Ruthin. Is it Ruthin or Ruth Ann? Ruth Ann, sorry. I seen the second N in there. Got Stephanie, got Janice. You guys are troopers. I appreciate you all. Y'all show up all the time. You engage. What do y'all think about those who was in the live show over on the other channel with the other two guys I'm working with? I was hoping that we had a lot of people in that chat room too. I was glad of that because I know most of the people come over to that channel because I'm trying to promote it here on my other channels. Yeah, I tell you, once we get more comfortable, Wes, with each other, me and them two guys, we actually have a pretty funny time when we're not doing the live thing. I think it kind of throws them off a little bit, knowing everybody's watching them. And I think, it's taken me some time to get used to it. Uh, it's not so bad anymore. Still, some things are uncomfortable, if you know what I'm saying. Uh, it's snowing all over hell right now. Oh man, Ew. I don't even think about snow. It's like I don't mind cold weather too much. Well, now if it's down in the teens, it's kind of, or like the wind blowing, that's kind of nasty to me. But snow is. I wish I would live somewhere where I didn't have to deal with snow anymore. Yeah, no kidding. New England. Yeah, I watch a lot of car content. Uh, a bunch of um, our friends up in Canada there, and they got a lot of snow just last couple of days, and I feel for them because they were getting snow like weeks ago in some places up there. I can't imagine having that short of a summer. It's crazy. So anyway, well, I'm getting off topic again, guys. I appreciate everybody showing up. Once again, sorry about having to do the whole deal, having to switch over to another deal. Um, but I actually made some notes this week, and I never do it except I'll write down maybe a single word or a title of something I want to talk about. And I didn't really make anything more than a title and the gist of what's going on. And yeah, Wes, I got degenerative arthritis, and yeah, the winters kill me on that. I lived for a couple years down in Florida, helping getting a dealership, Peterbilt dealership, up and going. And I really like Florida. I do, but I was in the northern part, so it's not like I was down around Miami or someplace. But my only thing about that is it's, and I don't mind it. It's a good trade off to keep the good weather for most of the year. Is you can't never tell what holidays are rolling around because here the changing of the weather pretty much can tell you what holidays coming up. Down there, I mean, it just the holiday just came and went. I was never into it. Uh, 66 degrees. That's not too bad, Rue. Coop dog. Yeah, West. I lived in. I don't know if you know where Lake City is. It's right off of I-75 and Route 10. It's just south of Route 10. It was like I said, I really like living there. I don't know if I want to live like all the way south, like down around Miami, someplace where it's so freaking humid. That's one bad thing about Florida. It's so humid. But you can ride your motorcycle in January in a t-shirt. So you'll have that. That's a good trade-off. So, um, I'm gonna try to play this and see if you guys seen this little commercial that the old Dems have gotten uh, out there. Let's make sure you can hear this. That's what I was worried about. I'm just gonna play this and. Are you kidding me? Now I don't have no sound on this thing. I tell you what, nothing ever works right. You know what's funny about this is I was just listening to this thing. It wasn't 30 minutes ago, so I could play it on here. 61. Yeah, it's not bad. 61. I don't. I don't even know what the temperature is. Oh yeah, dude, it's 50 degrees here. I'll tell you, it's not going to let me have any sound, but see if you guys seen this commercial. It's on X, is where I got it off of. But in every subject in here, they lied. Every single one. And I wish we could hear it, because for me to remember every single statement in this thing, it's going to be crazy. It's not going to happen, to be honest with you. But it was on trans rights, all kinds of weird stuff. It was about school systems. I don't know if you guys seen any of this at all. I wish I could play it for you guys. We'll move on. That ain't going to work. So, I don't know how many of you guys, I mentioned this before on the other show, the Joe Rogan and President Trump's interview. They did that little squash in the search engine for it. So at least one good thing, I don't know if you guys like Jim Jordan or not. He's a congressman from here in Ohio. It's the guy that never wears a jacket. He always just wears a tie. Yeah, I guess he's asking the Google CEO, what's his name, Sundar Pichai or something like that, Pichai. Going to call him in for a review and see why they ratioed the search for that episode. Of course, we already know why they did it. They're already, they're on emergency mode right now, trying to figure out what they can do to win this week. And depends on which channel you watch. Some of them are being kind of honest, which I find hard to believe. But like even CNN is really showing, I think, the true numbers as far as the polling goes. So and then if you watch MSNBC, they still are showing, at least the last one I saw, her ahead. And but if you break it down to the individual issues, he's beating her in all. Which, if he's beating her in all these issues like the immigration, inflation, energy cost, stuff like that, and he's beating her in that, but yet at the end of the polling, she's still ahead. I don't get that. But even CNN, they've only got President Trump ahead by less than a point the last time I seen it. Yeah, so but you can't polling. Honestly, it just depends on who answered honestly in their little surveys they do. So got to take that with a grain of salt. I just wanted to. I want to read my notes, guys, because I wanted to have try to do, if I'm going to do these weekly, I want to keep like a structured deal going. Yeah, the polls are too close, Rude. That's the thing. It is easy pass. Boy, I've installed a lot of those with Velcro on the windshield of semis back in the day. Oh man, Mike Turner. No. When they're unopposed, what do you do? The local election here, all the local stuff, or even the state stuff, I'm going to vote for the right people, and I hope enough people here will do the same thing. But, we don't know. It is what it is. So, did you see the story about that trans woman getting arrested for making terroristic threats towards President Trump the other day. At least they arrest somebody when they do this. I was afraid that people like this would be able to say stuff like this and be unopposed. Not yet. Yeah, this person's name, and it's a guy being a girl, whatever. Paul Gavinis. He got arrested for making terrorist threats just before the rally in Pennsylvania. And then at the same time, they had a bomb threat at the local GOP office there in Pennsylvania where President Trump was having a rally. Sounds like PA is going to be something just downright crazy. I mean, they're trying their best to keep him from winning that state. Because that is one of the serious battleground states that, President Trump really needs, unless he wipes the floor with some of the other states. But even then, it's a toss up. Oh, I dressed up. It's leather there, Joe. I'm usually wearing one of my old dirty mechanic's hat, and I figured, well, I'd kind of try to look like a grown up today. Losing my thoughts. Did you guys see Megyn Kelly this week? I guess she was going to some Halloween party, and her costume was downright hilarious, for one thing. I don't know if you guys seen my video on my discussion to myself, basically, on Biden calling us garbage. And I did I kind of felt like George Carlin doing all the names that you're not supposed to say on television. All the names that I've been called, and I'm sure a lot of us has been called over the last few years here. And I guess they think that is their humor, where they want to call us some kind of screwed up name. But as far as I know, everybody I've ever talked to on this side of the aisle get a kick out of it. Of course, we have a sense of humor. They don't. So, I don't know what it'd be like to go through life with no sense of humor. I mean, to be so angry all the time, or not just necessarily angry, but so sensitive to everything said to you. You go to something, you think it's always in bad intentions, or the whatever they're saying is bad intent, period. And then they want to, and then they take everything so seriously, you can't really joke with them. I mean, I just wouldn't want to live that way. And if by chance President Trump and JD Vance win this week coming up, I don't know how they're going to get by. I mean, there's psychiatrists is going to be rolling in the dough if President Trump wins. I mean, kind of makes me wish I'd went to school and become a psychiatrist right now. Yeah, Stephanie, you do have to have a sense of humor, and it's like nowadays, especially now. And I think that's what upsets them so much. Yeah, Ruth keeps me saying too. That's the problem. Ruth, they don't have a sense of humor, so they're insane right now. You're exactly right. That's a good way to put it. It does keep you sane to have a good sense of humor. Because to be filled up with such nastiness all the time, I mean, it has to just blacken your heart a little bit. You know what I mean? It kind of takes away that feeling of wanting to help thy neighbor and all this stuff, because If you have the wrong sign in your yard and your house is on fire, believe me, you know, and you guys know this too. If I had a Harris supporter that lives across the street and I wasn't home and they noticed my house was on fire, they would set up. That's when they would have the sense of humor. They would sit there and chuckle and watch it burn to the ground and then say it's my fault because of who I support to be president. That's the kind of sense of humor they got. It's just downright gross. And I wouldn't do that to them. So, who's the better people? They act like we're like such bad people, but who's the better people here? It's terrible. I just seen a video the other day, and the guy's wife posted the video. So, and I heard her laughing a little bit, but she was mad. She had to get to work. I think she had to get to work, where he decided to veer off the road and run over a Trump sign. And of course, they had the little strip of 1x5 or 1x6 thing of nails, and had a flat tire. And he was out there having a little tantrum fit, like it's the person's fault who owned the sign, because this dumbass runs off the road to knock the sign out, and he's still blaming the Trump supporter. It's hilarious. Hey, Wes, you're typing a lot in there, buddy. Hang on. Let me see if I can read it all. Get ready, route. Doing intersection, same place, but stage now paying celebrities. Yeah, but Wes, are they having concerts? I mean, like when Beyonce was there to give her little 4-minute speech, they were all expecting her to sing, and she didn't. So, let's see, CC Scraps. Let's see, acceptance. Yeah, well, that's the problem. Their only acceptance is they have is if you are on their side. That's what makes us the better people. Don't matter who they're voting for. If they have a need, if there's something wrong, if their house is burning down, or they have, like my neighbors, if I see them with the hood open on their vehicle, I try to go out there, and sometimes they'll just come up and knock on the door looking for me to have me come out, and if I can tell them what's wrong with their car. Yeah, they make me happy too. Yes, definitely. I tell you, that was hilarious. Hey, you got to give it up for the guy's wife for posting that, because and I bet there was a conversation, if that dude noticed that his little tantrum fit was posted out on the internet. Yeah, I live in a good neighborhood as far as the signs. Um, from intersection to intersection, the only signs that are in the yards around here are Trump signs. Now, if you go less than 2 miles up the road in the better housing district, we'll just say that, you'll see the Harris and Walsh signs. Now, saying that, the area I'm talking about, most of them work in the medical field. So, I don't understand why that makes a difference in their head, why they think that supporting the Democrats in that way, been in the medical field. I guess it's the mindset they have. But you'd think they'd be a little bit more smarter than that. You would think. Yeah, Whitey's still neighbors. That's my thought. They're still neighbors. If I had a neighbor I did not like, and I don't have any of those around here, and I seen that person out there with their hood up, or if their wife is out there and they got a flat tire and the husband ain't there to help, I would not hesitate to go do that, no matter what their party affiliation is or anything. I always wait for Beyonce to endorse a candidate before I decide. There you go. Yeah, I was saying the other day, John Legend is from my hometown right here. And I seen where I don't know why these people feel like they need to, they think their opinion means something, I guess. They think because they are celebrities that, you know, we're going to be listening. Anyways, I seen where he said he's moving out of the country if Trump wins. Of course, I'd like to send him a little note asking him if he needs help packing because I'll help him out. As, you know, being a neighborly type person that I am. Joe Bishop. Can't stay here long. Hey, BB. Hey, I'm glad. I hate, like I said, I had to switch rooms again. I just ain't the original live stream I was going to do. Well, easy. I was not old enough to vote in 1968. So I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Says, you know what? Last 4 years exposed to evil. Yeah, and and they don't even try to hide it no more. You know what I mean? It's like even here's how I don't want to say dumb I was or whatever. I guess you grow up expecting the establishment stuff to be on the up and up. And so when you watch like the news and when I'm thinking back today, remembering some of the stuff in previous elections, how they describe certain candidates and stuff like that, and but they kind of did it in a smooth way. If you wasn't paying that much attention to it, you would not think that you knew which way they leaned, left or right. So, but today they don't even try to hide it. It's like it's in your face. It's almost like they wear it like a badge of honor. It's like, yeah, I'm more woke than you. I went to college. I got this degree. I know these people. My shit don't stink, and so on. So it's kind of bad. Oh, the Smothers Brothers. Well, I remember the Smothers Brothers, but like I said, I was little back then. Easy. I don't want to say it's before my time, but it's before my time. I gave a shit, or well, I don't say gave a shit, but I didn't know. I was a little kid. It is. Yep. It's a free for all, baby. I'm telling you. It's like. Oh, I was getting ready to talk about Megyn Kelly. Any of you guys, girls, follow Megyn Kelly? She is her style of reporting the news is so much different now that she's doing it on the internet compared to when she was on regular TV. She cusses a lot now. I'm telling you, she got a little potty mouth on her. But anyways, I don't know if you guys follow her or not, but I seen where she went to a Halloween party and she wore a trash bag as a party dress with a MAGA hat on. I don't know. It's probably hard to make a trash bag look good, but she did a good job. Really. Smothers Brothers, they were funny. Of course, it was a different kind of humor back then. It's kind of like I remember like the Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, and of course Jerry Lewis was in there a little bit, but then you had Sammy Davis Jr. everybody wanted to be them back in the day. That was kind of the in crowd for celebrities. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. That she made that trash bag look like it was an actual outfit. If it wasn't dark green and shiny, you'd have never known it was a trash bag. Yep, Papa, you're right. Book smarts and common sense do clash. I like to consider myself street smart because I had to be. Uh, really, BB. I'm sorry. I'm answering these like everybody else knows to what the other person is saying. Unless you're not paying attention to the chat, you're probably getting a little off there. I got to get used to looking this way and talking, and instead of over here to the chat room. But I want to engage with everybody as much as possible. It's one thing to have a lot of people in there, and I like to everybody to participate. I enjoy that. And I'm thinking about trying to do. I don't know who watched the WTF Wednesday live stream a couple days ago, but they're talking about they're setting up a phone line to be able to call in and talk. Well, thank you, Rue. I appreciate that. And Hee Haw, I loved Hee Haw. Yeah, I really did. Uh, Spare nagging me on me. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember. I'm bad when it comes to lyrics. I like to karaoke when I'm out with friends and family and socially drinking. Uh, I get up there and sing a little bit, but it's a good thing. Karaoke is like a blessing to me because I'm so bad at remembering lyrics that I would never be able to sing a whole song without having a screen in front of me with the lyrics on it. Otherwise, it ain't happening. But I do like to karaoke, but I don't get to do it very often. It's probably a good thing. People don't like, although there is a video on my car channel. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up because I don't really want y'all to go look at it or nothing. But I got dumb enough to put a night out with the family uh, at a local establishment, and I'm up there with my daughter, and we're singing a Meatloaf song. So, and that was probably about the time of night that it was too far. I was too far gone to be doing it right. So I shouldn't have been doing it at all. Uh, you must be here in Springfield, BB. Our local college is Wittenberg University. And from what I'm told, and I don't know because I was told that Wittenberg is one of the better business colleges in the country and probably one of the more expensive ones, from what I've been told. And it's a very nice campus. So I imagine it probably is. Now, they're not known for their athletics, but they got a really nice football field. That'd be no, Joe. I have not tried any, and uh, I've not seen a cat on a stick. Uh, but me and a friend of mine was talking today. He lives in an area in a part of town where there's a bunch of the houses that are rented to them, the bunk houses as I call it. And he was talking about it. And see, this is all anecdotal. I think I'm saying that right. And it's not real statistics. It's just things that you notice that that you're not trying to prove. You just notice certain things. Yeah, yeah, Coop Dog. Meatloaf is awesome, but unfortunately, me singing a Meatloaf song is not. Hey, Wes. Yeah, you got to take care of the grandchildren. That's. I was just at. I did a wedding. I was at a wedding Sunday night, and I'm gonna try to post the pictures, a couple of the pictures I have, and the video of part of it. They rented out a museum of natural history for the wedding. I kid you not. We had the entire museum, and it had one of those astronomy things where all the planets and the lights and everything, you lay back in those chairs, and they did an entire show just for the wedding, and it was it was pretty impressive. I mean, I'd never that was they were thinking outside the box when they did this wedding. It really was. My granddaughter and her new husband. They It was pretty awesome. I was impressed, highly impressed. So you don't go to a wedding like that every day. It's just not happening. And they spent a bunch of money to have full access to this museum. It's crazy, making you hungry. Yeah, Rue. But well, Scraps, there's all kinds of information about the corruption of our local leaders. To the point that some of them are it's too hot for them. It's kind of like you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Three of them, they're coming up for reelection, and I guess they're going to bow out and not run for reelection this time, which is a good thing. But I believe they just this whole situation and them in the spotlight was just a little too much for them to handle. Unfortunately, it's not the mayor that's up for reelection. He's When I get the ability to share screen stuff, I want to show anybody who's in, like when I start doing this better, uh, the video of him apologizing for being white. I've seen that video, and because somebody told me about it, and I was like, no, why would you do that? I mean, but I watched the video, and he apologized, and nobody should apologize for what race they are. I mean, you're born that way. It's your personal character that makes the difference, not and but to apologize uh, kind of made me feel like he's just too weak to be in. He should not be the mayor of this town. Yeah, Joe, you're right. If he hadn't said nothing during the debate, all the rest of this would not come to light. So, believe it or not, is the subject that he talked about. There is a real possibility that is true, but it's not like rampant, like it's some kind of like overwhelming thing that's the overwhelming problems in this town with all the rest of it. That's just like a side note to the story. You know what I mean? Some people's pets come up missing. And they have a history. 70% of their country practices that religion. That cats is part of that religion that they do things to. Oh, baby, probably about this. Yeah, the planetarium. It's probably the same thing. Uh, it was a nice time. I just never heard of somebody having a wedding at a science museum. But and I like the dinosaurs and stuff like that. So I got pictures of the big old beasts, the big old skeletons. Of course, I don't think these were the actual ones. I think these were castings of ones, but it was pretty cool. All right, trying trying to read there, guys. I'm trying to get caught up here. Yeah, if you're talking about my mayor, yeah, easy. He is weak. Uh, well, Elaine, I think that after the election, um, problems were going to get worse here before they get better. And I think, and I'm not going to feel comfortable until January 20th. Everybody says January 6th, but they keep talking about this 14th Amendment Article 2 thing, and I've heard that like 3 different times again just this week. So they're telling us what they're going to do. So nobody should be surprised if something like that happens. But first, they're going to try to keep him from being elected. That's and now they're showing people all kinds of weird, fraudulent things already happen across the country. It's like in Virginia, where they had the illegals who registered to vote, and Virginia was going to remove them from the rolls, and the DOJ filed suit to keep that from happening. Well, thank God the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. So Virginia is obviously capable of removing those from the voter rolls. So that's a good thing. But how many times is that happening across the country that this isn't getting turned over or even looked at? It's a crazy thing. Yeah, it's when it comes to local politics here, I didn't really pay that much attention. I was always I paid attention to the national stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't think enough because you always assume that uh, your local politicians are just like part of the citizenship around here. They're part of the community. It's not like a president who sits in the White House and runs several states that he don't live in or is part of. Basically, you would think that the mayor and all them, being part of the community, would do a little better. Yeah, I thought, but so that has not been the case. Rue, as far as the J6 prisoners, I think that I watched him in a couple because he's been asked that a few times. I believe that he said he's going to look at him case by case because, um, and that's probably the smart answer. Saying I'm going to pardon everybody on J6 is uh, that's not really politically correct. Yeah, Coop. I just I mentioned that last week about and it was sep- September 27th. They did the deal on that DOD to where they added to being able to use deadly force against U.S. citizens. So they're getting ready for something. They wouldn't. Why would they do that unless they're getting ready for something? Yeah, Papa. See, yeah, they did. They're doing all kinds of weird things. Do you all remember when they did that little war room scenario about what would civil war look like in this country today? They did that back in 2020. Well, now they're, you know, that's a big talking point. Except this time is that was a little different. That was about civil war. This time they're gonna try to do martial law actually if they try to run that 14th Amendment against President Trump to keep him from taking office. So, Elaine, I don't, we're talking so much about the stuff that's happening here that we need to pay attention to what's happening around the world because that's going to affect us too. Because I do, and y'all see if you feel the same way I do about this. And it's just the feeling that I have. Let's say they lose and they can't trust that if they do the try to do the 14th Amendment and stuff, that like the population, the U.S. civilians will step up and kind of resist the government. And then now they have that new deal with the DoD where they're allowed to use lethal force against us. But let's say they don't trust our own military to go against its own, because there are our families. Our military is our families. They're not just loyal to the country; they're loyal to us. So the Democrats can't trust that the regular military will do what they ask. Saying that, they already have an army right here in the country already. And of course, they're not all of fighting age, but, 21 million extra people in the country. And a lot of them are young men. And we already know they're willing to do it because look what they're doing in Aurora, Colorado, and in Chicago, and there's rumors here. Y'all know about the stories about them purchasing firearms here, and there's rumors here that they're stockpiling that stuff in case the election doesn't go the way that they want it to go. They've all thought about this. This is not something they haven't thought about, and they've had 4 years to get it up and running and being prepared. Now, see, that's my feeling. They have an army within the country that's not loyal to its own citizens, and they are willing to do whatever it takes to stay in this country compared to going back to their home countries. Now, saying that, I'm saying you got to pay attention to what's going on from the rest of around the world. So now, North Korea has successfully launched its first ballistic missile. So guess what they're capable of doing now? And now North Korea and China are practicing war games in Russia. So that's concerning. I don't know if it's concerning to you guys, but I mean, that kind of stuff concerns because, we probably can handle our own because we still outnumber, I'm going to call it the army within, because we are an armed society. And like I said, the U.S. military, I don't see them turning on their own people. I don't see that happening. And I think the Democrats don't see that happening either. But if they have a group of people who are already here that are willing to do whatever it takes to stay here, and then you have a couple of countries that would really love to knock us off our pedestal, and now they're partnering up and becoming a more powerful force militarily than we are. Because if you count the groups together, not just them individually, but then and then like they're also you got Iran that is has a relationship with China and Russia. So it's kind of a bad deal, and people need to keep a close eye on this because you don't know any of these people are capable of doing any of the things I'm talking about. Now, will they? I hope not. But like I said, all this is my personal feelings, how when I see this and I see this over here happening and that over there happening, then by themselves, you don't think it's a big deal. But if you think about them all at one time, this stuff's happening all at the same time, basically. It's something to be concerned about. Yeah, Rusty, that is true. They've been conditioning our kids to go against us. But then again, it's one thing to be like that. It's another thing to point a weapon at somebody and pull the trigger. Um, let's hope that they have a little bit more of internal. I don't know really the correct word I'm looking for. Uh, just the inner strength to not swallow the BS and go against its own population, own citizens. Don't know. It's a terrible thing to think about. Uh, right now we got to get through this election. We got to get in, and if you haven't voted, I'm taking people to two different pollings on Tuesday, beyond me going to my own, making sure I give people rides to vote Tuesday. So I hope you guys are doing that. If you're capable, wherever you're at, you got neighbors or friends or families that can't get to the voting polls, uh, give them rides, help them out. Yeah, Coop, and that's part of the problem. They've been doing this trade off for since the '70s. The government's your friend as long as you don't keep daddy in the house of the children that you have. So then the mothers, it's hard to be a single mother and raise children, and they pretty much are raised more in the streets than they are at home. So it is an atmosphere of children against. But once you get in the military, it, it's a different structure. I had two cousins that retired, one from the Navy and one from the Coast Guard. And they, I remember, of course, it's a different time, obviously. Uh, the military, even though the Coast Guard, it's military, but it's not. He was in uh, the Navy and he got out and got into the Coast Guard. But anyways, it made them different people after they was in the military. So gave them a sense of a national pride to be in the military, and they grew up. They wasn't those snotty little young kids that were spoiled. When they got in the military, it changed their whole life. And once they retired, they kind of kept that same sense. When I walk into my one cousin's house, he still does his laundry. How they put them in them boxes and stuff, how they store their stuff. He still does that today. It's kind of funny. But it keeps his house high and tight. His wife ain't got to do nothing. It's hilarious. Oh, okay, BB. Yeah, good deal. Yeah, I think we talked before. I like Xenia. Uh, I've done a lot of racing there at Killcare. So, and I've bought a few cars in Xenia, and all of them X-race cars. My very first '55 Chevy I ever bought, I bought down there. I paid $500 for it, and I took me 5 years to restore it, but I got it looking good. And it was a X drag car. Okay, Rue, that's cool. Um, so I wanted to talk about Did you see the commercial where they were telling women or suggesting to women, as if women, the wives, when I say women, I mean wives of the conservative people, those who are supporting Trump, as if their wives wouldn't support Trump. And of course, Papa probably knows this if he's still in the room here. Uh, they make it sound like conservative men make their wives vote the way they vote, as if you really could tell your wife what to do when they get into the voting booth. And I don't know of anybody, that I know personally that has that kind of or even tries to have that kind of control over their wife. It's kind of, but they had that commercial, like it's defy your husband, get in there and vote for the person and who you want in there, for your, fight for your reproductive rights and all this other stuff, as if that's you know, under attack from the conservative side. It just makes no sense to me. But I seen that commercial, and the commercial's kind of just cringing. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Just the ladies in here. Do you know any men that your friends their husbands uh, trying to control their wives like that? I mean, I don't get where they think that's what's happening. It it makes no sense. They're almost saying that a woman cannot be conservative if it wasn't for their husband making them think that way, or vote that way. Not necessarily think that way, but vote that way. And I remember, I think way back when they were saying the same thing when Hillary was running. I'm almost the same exact thing about the women that are married to conservative men. Would be voting for Hillary if it wasn't for they were married to these men, as if we're some kind of Neanderthal, uh, overbearing, testosterone filled cavemen or something. I mean, what the hell is that all about? Yeah, Juice. I seen where Tim Walz. Yeah, Papa, that's what I'm saying. Not in your house. That's not going to happen in your house. Your wife's going to vote for who she wants to vote for, and she probably lets you know that every day of the week, and probably twice on Sundays. Kind of crazy. Uh, I don't know if you guys follow. I'm a big YouTube watcher, and I don't know if y'all know who Jake Paul is. He's the one that was going to fight Mike Tyson not too long ago, and in the internet world, people like that have like a voice, kind of like a celebrity. But he did this video a day or two ago endorsing Donald Trump, and that's kind of made shockwaves through the left leaning people of the internet. Uh, they kind of wish he would have just shut up and not say a word, but he felt the need that he had to be public about his support for Donald Trump, which in the internet world, it's not as detrimental as like somebody in Hollywood who can't work with anybody after they come out and say they're conservative. Wife here voted for Trump. I have my own mind. Yeah, Donna, that's my point. Uh, I don't know. I don't. They really see. They don't try to get to know us. They have their idea of what they think our households are like, how they're ran. Um, I can tell you right now. I'm uh, I don't have my wife. I'm not with my wife anymore, but I have a girlfriend, and might as well say we are married. Been together for shoot over 15 years. Oh, longer than that. Anyways, she is libertarian big time. But saying that, she's still voting for Trump. And I would never, even if she thought you know, she felt the need to vote for Kamala Harris, I don't think I could or even would try to stop her. I guess is the word. I don't want to use that word too much, but it's kind of way the left thinks is how we run our household or something. Uh, but it's just I don't know. Most of the, not most, I'm gonna say all of the families that I know that are conservative, um, the men are gentlemen. They're not overly aggressive towards their wives or girlfriends. Um, matter of fact, I like the fact that my girlfriend is different from me. Um, we have interesting conversations all the time, and we don't see eye to eye on some things. Um, and she explains to me why she feels that way, and I can't disagree with that if that's how you feel. She comes from a educated point of view. She educates herself. It's not just some dumb headline on CNN or something. But when it comes to serious stuff, she's voting for Trump. She understands that the world needs structure, safety. She lives here in Springfield, so she's going through the same issues with the Haitians as the rest of the women in this town. Uh, so she understands that we need a leader that won't put up with this kind of thing. It's going to do something about it. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm thinking what you're talking about there, BB. Well, he's a Hollywood type. I mean, you can even if people have a certain way they think, they get out in California and then they start trending their patterns of all the people that they hang around and work around. So it's just a different. They start leaning left and they get used. I mean, if you can live in California and still say you like California, when you got Gavin Newsom running California, who just what shut down 3 oil refineries. Now gas is spiking. Gas prices are spiking in California, and this is above and beyond that tax he's adding to it. I mean, how can you live there uh, and be able to, if you like living there the way the government's ran in that state, then you have a different mindset than me. Yeah, the Arnold Algebach. Oh, that was a terrible impression. Don't. I'll try not. I'll try to refrain from doing impressions going forward. Yeah, Maria Shriver. Yeah, easy and him messing with the maid and all that stuff. That's yeah. What Stephanie boycott? Uh, There's probably a few boycotts coming on. Yeah, Rue. I can't spell. I can't spell his last name either. Yeah, BB. You can be a Republican and still lean left in California because Reagan was a Republican and he was not a. Everybody thinks he was like this huge conservative president. He was not. Otherwise, he wouldn't have granted that amnesty package he did with illegal aliens back in the 80s. So that's kind of today. That's a Democrat talking point. So you can be a Republican, but in California, it's a different kind of Republican than it is anywhere else. German accent, yeah. All right, BB. Hey, I'm glad you came in. Yeah, Pop, that's what I'm talking about. They're rhinos. If they're even though they can call themselves Republican, a lot of them, and it depends on their surroundings, how they think. It kind of like programs them to a certain way, but then they feel that internal struggle of trying to you know want to be left, but their internal struggle tells them there's something that's pulling them to the right. So they try to do this internal balance of uh, like I always used to tell myself, I'm socially liberal and financially conservative. So, but we got. I wanted to mention too. Our Department of Justice, this Merrick Garland. They talk about not going after your political people once you get in office. But if they're doing something that is wrong and evil while they're here in power now, it is it's going to be their duty, and not because they're politically opposites. Merrick Garland, for one thing, him and Mayorkas, they both should have been impeached already. I don't know if you can impeach Garland, but he should have been fired. But he's. They always talk about Trump having people in the DOJ that's loyal to just him, his crony or whatever. But what the hell is Merrick Garland doing? He's doing exactly what the White House is telling him to do. Yeah, screw your freedoms back there in the COVID. See, that tells it's like Howard Stern the same way. Howard Stern used to be the person that the establishment cringed. He did everything that he was the bad boy of the airwaves for radio stations for years, and then he's just like Arnold. It's just like he got old and got scared. It's like he wanted to be invited to the parties and be part of the in crowd. So, it's the same thing. That COVID thing kind of like showed you who they was, So, but let me get back what I was talking about. So now, if you protest outside of an abortion clinic, um, you can be federally charged for a domestic terroristic act. Like if you blocked a door, how many people have you seen on the left when they're protesting stuff? They lock arms and they block the door, or they lay out in the middle of the street to keep traffic from going through. So if you block the door there for a protest uh, at an abortion clinic, you can be federally charged now. And I'll tell you why that. I know that for a fact. Some of you may know the story, some of you may not. But there's a young lady named Bevelyn Williams who just got 3.5 year sentence for protesting at an abortion clinic. What's bad about this is she's got a little child. So her husband is going to have to raise his child by himself now for 3.5 years for protesting, not being violent, not threatening nobody, but doing what most people do when they are passionate about something: block the doors. And for that, you are federally charged for a domestic terroristic act and get a minimum of 3.5 years in prison. Now, I know that's not as bad as the J6 people who are facing multiple years in prison, but 15 years plus. I mean, Merrick Garland, I hope they go after him with every ounce of legal prudence that they can do to throw him in prison. Because what he has done, it's like when he tried to do that to the parents who voiced their opinions at these school meetings and these uh, town council meetings and stuff like that. He has been on the wrong side of everything when it comes to using the strong arm of the law to impose their will if you don't think the way they think. Yeah, and I hope if President Trump so is able to win this week, that is one of the people that they will pardon. I mean, ASAP. That woman should not spend one day in prison. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I have a hard time talking about this because you're talking about a mother and they're married. They got a family, and they are so pro-life. They're willing to protest and block the door to keep people. And what they made a big deal about is, I guess, they shut the abortion clinic down for the day, and they had 107 appointments scheduled for abortions that day. Can you imagine that happens every day during the week around all the larger cities of this country? That type of number daily. And they talk about we have a reduction population problem in our country. Well, I wonder why. They promote this. They talk about having to have people come in from other countries because we have a depleting population. We wouldn't have that if they were promote family. I go back, when Reagan was in office, he made it a tax credit. He made the incentive of being married. And then when Clinton got in office, he made it almost too expensive to be married. You filing taxes as a couple jointly was worse because the Clinton, I say Clintons because she was right in there too. They seen the opportunity of getting more money because of two incomes in a house. Because I wish we could afford to go back to a one income household and have a structured family life that way. And it don't matter who works, whether it's the mother or the father. It's nice to have one of the parents at home raising their children, being more involved in the schools. This is how schools got away with what they've been getting away with. You, when both parents are working, their their time is taken up so much that, and some people do have the energy. They take the time, they stay involved, but it takes a serious commitment to do that, and it's not easy. And the U.S. government has made it harder and harder to do that, is to stay involved. And I could be wrong about all that. It's just a personal opinion. Really rude? Damn, that sucks. Easy, you talking about big money. I know y'all probably remember those Project Veritas undercover videos where they talked to, they first was saying that the story about them using baby body parts and selling them was a misinformation, a lie. And then undercover videos proved that that's not the case. It's not a lie. They were doing that, even though I guess supposedly there's some law against it, but yet they were still doing it. So yeah, there is big money in it. But and I when it comes to that the topic, I have a hard time falling on which side of the aisle as far as my opinion on it. I do know that there's certain things that emotionally, mentally, that the person can't handle. Having a child, and I know it's a sad thing that that's even an option for them to do, and they don't have the support it takes to carry a child, especially if it's conceived in a really bad way. And you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a couple of reasons why they would be a really bad way, but those instances are super, super rare. Thank God they're super rare. But there is no incentive today to want to keep the child. Plus, they're all running around. It's all the education about safe sex. It's hilarious that people even still have this as a problem today, with the wide range of contraceptives that there is today that people can use, and yet we still have this problem where they're having 107 appointments for abortions in one day at one clinic. So this has to start with us getting the right people elected and changing the mood of the country. It's all in education. It's something that, if it's in our television that we watch, if it's in the radio that we listen to, if it's in the speeches that we go to watch and hear, if it's the educational system, that's how we got here. That's how we have to reverse it. We have to turn this ship around. If not, we're about to run into a glacier. We're going to sink. As a matter of fact, I think we already hit one, and a couple of the compartments are filling up right now. So we got to do something to stay afloat, get this thing fixed so we can keep going. But, I don't, I guess I don't have all the answers. I probably don't have very many answers. All I have is opinions and feelings and things like that. And I know a lot of you guys are similar to me. We think a lot alike in this room. And I'm glad y'all come in today, even with I always have problems with my startups for some reason. I got to figure out this mic thing. I think it has something to do with I set the live stream up last week after that last one, and it seems like every time I have something that's preset on my system, that some kind of corruption happens in the system, and then it screws it all up, and then I have to restart with a new one. And I know I probably would have more people in here hanging out if it would have went off without a hitch the first time. But I like my little community here. You guys are awesome. Yeah, Rusty, they don't want, but we want to fix it, Rusty. You know what I mean? We want to fix it. They don't, and we fixed it. And I'm hoping you're talking about what I was talking about, fixing the country and making it to where we need to be more, what's a good word I'm looking for? Pro family, and try to get the stuff fixed. Hey, Rue. But let's move on. That was a depressing thing about the young lady. It's getting 3.5 years for protesting in front of an abortion clinic. So I'll move on. Yeah, to matter of fact, before I move on, to kind of put a nail in the coffin on this one to close it out. What's upsetting about this the most is when they had all those protests going on, and Kamala Harris and all of them was setting up funds to get people bailed out if they got arrested when they got caught doing stuff, catching things on fire, blocking doors, destroying buildings. And I don't remember seeing in the news anywhere where anybody was getting arrested for those things and like in federal, getting federal charges against them. They may have got local charges against them, and I don't think any of them did like years in prison. I think the only ones that I remember even made the news is those 2 lawyers that was catching police cars on fire. I don't know if y'all remember that. Those are the only ones that I can remember that really got in trouble for anything. Everybody else kind of got like a slap on the hand. But yet this young lady gets 3.5 years for protesting in front of an abortion clinic. Yeah, so that's one of the things that really irritates me. All the billions of dollars of damage those people did during all this protest and the BLM riots and all that other stuff. And they get slapped on the hand, and this young lady gets separated from her little baby for 3.5 years. So, anyways, next subject. Sorry, I made my table shake. Because I don't have no fancy studio. This is a card table. Did y'all see where Tampon Tim was calling Elon Musk a dipshit? They did make an example out of her, Rusty, and that's the problem. Yeah, there's a lot of armchair patriots, and I hope I'm not one. I hope I'm trying to do something positive and move forward. And I know you guys are nice and loyal to me as far as keep coming back to listening to this old guy talk. Um, but I'd like to get a more I don't know which kind of message I would be talking about, but get a message out there and talk to people and let them know that there's more people out here like them uh, to want to fix things. Yeah, Coop, I appreciate that. You're dealing with a computer illiterate guy here. This is why I can't throw nothing up on the screen to show you some of the things that we're talking about right now. Although I will get there eventually. I just hope I can keep you guys' attention enough. Just me talking. That's kind of like why I like talking, doing that Wednesday show with them guys, because it ain't just me you're listening to. You know what I mean? And they were so excited, because we had over 90 people in that chat room before the live stream ended, and that made me feel good because I know their uh, volume of subscribers went up by me keep asking you guys. I requested uh, whoever was subscribing to me go over there and check us out on that channel. So I feel kind of good that I had a a, a good. I was responsible for a lot of that, and I appreciate everybody who was there. And like I said, that live stream show that'll get better and better as we go. But I like talking to, and more than just me talking, because I'm not that engaging or enough to keep people's attention, I guess, for very long periods of time. Just me rattling on. Joe, Joe, I'm not buying a Tesla either, brother, because I can't afford one. I got a friend that's got a Tesla. Very nice car. It's a very nice car. And I'm not against owning a Tesla. I just can't afford it. I can barely afford to pay attention, let alone buy a car today. Any car. All my cars are old and used and basically brought back from the dead so I can have something to drive. I don't have nothing new. I haven't had a car payment in a very, very long time. I couldn't afford a car payment today anyway. But yeah, uh, Joe, Starlink is my next goal, my friend. Um, I like Starlink a lot. And, when we were doing that live stream on the other channel the other day, WTF Wednesdays, my internet went out here as part of Ohio. We've been having this problem where we've been losing internet by mass numbers for periods of time. So I got knocked off that live stream 3 times, I think. And that gets kind of irritating. Rue, I love my gas powered vehicles too. Anyway, the Starlink, what I was getting ready to say, Joe, is it's becoming more affordable to get because I remember when I first was learning about it, the equipment that you need to do the startup it was like $1,200. Now they've got a version of it that's like I think $399 or something. So when I can afford it, I'm going to save up. It'll probably take me about 4 or 5 months, maybe. It might be a little bit more than that. I'm going to put money back so I can get Starlink. So I won't have them problems getting kicked off live stream anymore. Yeah, but they did a diss against Elon Musk during that Leave the World Behind movie that Obama was part of there, where they had all the Teslas end up in the same location, crashing into each other. that was kind of cute in a way, but we knew it wasn't a nice gesture. It was on purpose. Of course, it also proved that anything that had an electronic brain could be manipulated, like the big freighter that would run up on the beach because their navigational system was electronic. But when Tim Walsh called one of the smartest men in America a dipshit because he jumped up and down on a stage when he was excited, when he was uh, did a speech there at one of uh, President Trump's rallies. But I'm pretty sure I seen Tampon Tim doing the same thing with Kamala Harris, running around jumping sideways with his hands up in the air, and then his stupid wife doing some kind of nursery rhyme bullshit. That woman is freaky looking. Do y'all agree with me? That woman's got some weird eyes. It wants to talk to you like this. I would not want to be in the same bedroom with that woman. I'm just saying. They probably aren't, but that's a side note. Yeah, Tesla. If here's the problem with electric cars and trucks. That's still not a good way to drive long distances. For one thing, our Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, uh, apparently don't know uh, what a real cost of putting in charging stations, because he ain't never been in charge of something like that, and they kind of took advantage of that dude. What was it, $9 billion for 8 charging systems? I mean, $9 billion. It's a charging system. You ever go to an RV park where you have all these outlets where all the campers park? They all have the RV outlets because they're 30 amp. It's 30 amp or 40 amp. Anyways, if they're capable of doing that at an RV park for 100 or 200 camping spots, and it costs $9 billion to build 8 charging systems to charge up a Tesla or any of the other cars. They're not all Teslas. I mean, that just tells you the people who are in charge of stuff like that are just downright idiots. Not that they're dumb people. It's just they're dumb about the topic that they're in charge of. Anyways, when Tim Walsh, Tampon Tim, oh, I'm losing people. See, that's what I'm saying. It's hard for one person to keep a whole bunch of people engaged enough to want to listen in. But I'm trying. Frank, you're leaving? Oh, he must have already left. Must have been one of the people that left. Yeah, electrical fires are hard to put out. That's true. You will not work tomorrow. Appreciate you, Jimmy. Yeah. Well, Frank, on that upgrades, I believe that to a point, but let's be honest, because these charging systems are at gas stations and stuff like that. They already have uh, the electrical capabilities for a charging outlet. Because, like I said, if you can do it in an RV park, and it ain't much different, it really isn't. Uh, they call them fast charging outlets because they can charge a completely dead electric car in 3 hours. And some can get a quick charge in 30 minutes, but it can only charge it up to a certain point, like 80% or something. And it's that last 20, it takes all that extra oomph to get it powered up all the way. But still, $9 billion. I mean, come on. You could power up a small town for $9 billion. But see, I'm getting off topic again. Sorry, guys. Well, it's the same topic. We're talking about Elon. So Tampon 10 calling him a dipshit because he ran around jumping up and down, cheering for Trump. You know, when he cheers, he does the same exact thing cheering for Kamala. But he lied. This is why he called him a dipshit. If you guys didn't see the speech, well, I am losing a bunch of you. He's trying to say that Trump's going to put him in charge of overseeing corporate regulations. That's not true. That's not what Elon even wants to be in charge of. Elon wants to be in charge of finding government waste, spending money like $9 billion on 8 chargers. So Tim Walsh completely lied about, because he said, well, you know, it's a billionaire wanting to make more billions by being in charge of corporate regulations when it would affect his businesses more than anything. When that's not even what Elon wants to do. Elon wants to get in there and fix government waste, find out where the money's being spent that we don't need, like transgender studies in Saudi Arabia. Why are we paying for something like that in the first place? That's the kind of stuff that Elon Musk wants to be in charge of, to stop doing stupid shit like that, not handling corporate regulations to enrich his pocket. Elon Musk knows he's rich enough. He spends a lot of money trying to do the right thing anymore. In case y'all haven't paid that much attention, he's spending millions and millions of dollars, and you know, they're talking about wanting to do charges against him because he did that little deal, and for people signing that. Oh shoot, I can't remember what he was. Anyway, just signing something. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Help me out here. Where he was giving away $1 million every day for whoever signed this petition. Sorry, I couldn't figure it out. My brain. This is what happens when you're old and you intake too many exhaust gases from motor vehicles. I'm just saying. Hey, Andrew, I'm glad you're here. We're just talking about dipshit Tim calling Elon Musk a dipshit and claiming that Trump's going to put him in charge of something that he's not even putting him in charge of, or even wanting to put him in charge of. So I wanted to give my 2 cents in on that asshole, because I can't stand that dude. Can't stand his wife. Can't stand him. He's a poor excuse of a man. And he was bragging about how good of a shot he is the other day. And if anybody watched him try to load that shotgun he was trying to load, understands that he hasn't handled very many firearms in his life, because he was doing that in one of the worst awkward ways to try to load a weapon like that. He's just an idiot. Do y'all know who Anna Kasparian is? You ever watch The Young Turks? And I say this because I try to be well rounded in the stuff that I watch and the information that I take in, because when they have an argument about something or whatever, I like to say that I'm informed enough that I watched and listened to what they had to say originally, not just by what somebody else said they said. But I don't think Anna Kasparian is going to be on the Young Turks much longer, because every time she defends Trump, she has to argue with Cenk. And he's not a dumb person, but man, does he have Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, you just mentioned President Trump's name, and you almost see the foam coming down the corner of his mouth. He jumps up and down and starts hollering and stuff. It's just like, you know, I see him on the Piers Morgan show. And he's the same way every time he gets to talk. When they start talking about Trump, he calls him a failed businessman. Uh, you can't be a billionaire and be a failed businessman. I mean, Trump's richer than he is. So who's failed in life if you want to go down that path? But anyways, I was saying where Anna Kasparian was defending Trump again uh, with all the fake news. She basically was correcting Jink. Jink was saying something, and she had to correct him, and say that that was not really the gist of what the subject was about. He was doing it incorrectly, and they actually got in an argument on the show. So I don't think she's going to be on that show for very much longer. Uh, because she used to be just as bad as he was up until this last year. I don't know what changed in her mind in this last year, but she's leaning more conservative every day. Sometimes you just can't help if you get red pilled, and if you're a free thinker, it's like you can't unknow what you find out. You once you know, you know. Exactly, Papa. That's what I'm saying. Jink by himself he's a horrible person. His points of view is just not mine. But they've been losing viewership because they say because most of the people watching their show, believe it or not, is men. It's you think when it's a leaning left show, it's women, but it's his style. The style of the show is not really the taste of a lot of women because he's kind of an aggressive guy. So when you are consistently losing viewership because more and more younger men are going uh, to the right, which is fascinating to me. Like they say, the children that are in like junior high and high school right now are some of the most conservative thinking young people in almost a generation. That's got to give you a little bit of hope because look at the woke system they're in, and the only way I can say is when a system goes too far, they went too far, and people who are not dumb recognize when something went too far, and maybe they're tired of being in a system that is just so woke that they don't understand what they're trying to teach them anymore. It makes no sense to them. Plus, it depends on the parents they have at home too. I mean, I have a daughter that is hugely conservative, but I also have kids that are so far leaning left that we don't talk politics. I don't want to make them mad because you can't have a conversation with them because it's the same as any of them. They can't defend their points of view. So, what do you do? Guys, it's going on 8:30. I've just rambled on. I tried to make some talking points here so I wouldn't be just a boring idiot. And I don't know how well I've done tonight, but I don't see at least we got 9 people in here. That's pretty good considering that I started at 6:30 and it's going on 8:30. I get. Let me ask you guys a question here. Still in here, the 8 that are still here. I'm losing you. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. Um, I'm trying. I want to be. I want to be that person that you get your information from. That we can. Not that you don't get it from somewhere else, but at least here we can have a conversation. It's just not you watching something on a program. Uh, I like to have interactions, as you guys know. But I feel bad. I was kind of hoping. I felt good Wednesday when there was like almost 100 people in that live stream. I was kind of hoping that I might get at least 20 or 30 in this. And I got my friends here that you guys are very, very, I don't want to use the word loyal, but yeah, loyal. I'm going to call you friends because you come in here, you engage. I feel like we have a good time a lot of the times because, we make jokes about this sad situation that we're in. Papa, I am 59, sir. I probably look older than 59. I uh, I started having health issues when I just turned 56, and it seemed like my whole world just went upside down. It took me a minute to get up on my feet, and get to dealing with my new reality in my life. Um, I never thought I'd be doing this, to be honest with you. This never even crossed my mind to get in front of a camera and talk to a bunch of people across the world. And I say across the world because I've talked to people from all over the world, and it's been so fascinating for me that I wanted to keep doing it. That's when what hit you, Stephanie? You think that would bring more people to the room, Joe? Just mention that simple little word, Springfield. Hey, Andrew, my thing is I worry about because I don't have a handle on being verbally articulate. I think I'm even saying that right. I've said it before. I don't feel like I'm the best spokesperson because I don't speak as clear as Ben Shapiro or Tim Pool or Charlie Kirk or somebody like that. Those people, and Vivek, you know, I wish I could speak as clearly and as precise as they do, and I worry about that. That's why I worry about it. The eggs. Oh, you're 56. Yeah. Well, I tell you, I fell down on the ice and I had to go to the hospital. And while they were figuring out where I had my actual injury was my knee, my left knee. They ran some other tests. They found something when they ran a blood test, and then they started asking me if I would do X-rays, but they wouldn't really tell me why. I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, I only hurt my knee, but I was having problems already walking and standing, which had started slowly creeping up, and I had neuropathy and I didn't know it, but I was getting injections in my bottom of my feet because my tendons would cause my foot to curl up like this in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, and I can't hardly walk the next day. It takes a minute, almost bring you to tears. It hurts so bad. Yeah, Donna, Springfield is a hot topic. You know, I try to think about the titles I put on stuff, and I guess I'm not very good at what they call clickbait. You say there's 31 watching me? Oh, I only see 10. Maybe I don't know how to, but when I was with the WTF Wednesday with the guys over there, I was only seeing a certain amount and they were assuring me that wasn't the case. That's why they was telling me there was almost 100 in the room watching. So apparently there's something I can't see in the system here. That's why I worry about the chat room too, because I've had so much trouble with my chat room with the computer system. I think I need better equipment, guys. I mean, I'm on this. I think this laptop cost $200 like 4 years ago. I think it's almost 4 years ago when I got it. See, right now, I mentioned that I see 7 in the room. Is why I say I feel like I'm losing you guys. And I know we've been on here a long time. But as far as the titles, I try to think of something that, in the title that is part of the subject that I want to talk about. Um, can't always just say Springfield, Ohio. Uh, Although that brought a lot of views, that kind of what got me here in the first place was all that. And then every time I would do an interview, and I did very few interviews when this stuff was all blowing up. I don't know if you guys realize that. You never seen me in anybody else's YouTube interview. Never. I was not going to be somebody they wanted to talk to and then kind of like uh, clip it and take things out of context and stuff like that. I did not want to be that guy. So I did very very few interviews, and I didn't do any regular TV interviews. And there's some people I have talked to that want me to. I guess they feel like I'm capable of getting into, without a lack of a better word, getting deep into the shit here in the places that most people wouldn't go to find out information because they're scared. So, anyways, it brought me to here. Here's where we're at. Uh, I've been asked, if I got asked once, I've been asked 3-4 dozen times, or how much money I've made because of the amount of views I had on my videos. And when I tell people I wasn't even monetized, some don't believe me. But what they don't, and I've said this before, when I made my first video about Springfield, Ohio, I had 200 subscribers on my card channel. Good people. I enjoyed interacting with them through the comments and stuff like that. And, I never thought about ever being monetized. So when I had the numbers to be monetized, I didn't even know how to do it to get monetized. It took me a minute, and then it took them a month to approve me, because I'm assuming they had a problem with the content of the videos that had large numbers as far as viewing. Well, I didn't get nothing for any of those. None of those videos were monetized. Zero. I've been monetized for 29 days now. So, in my other channel, this channel here is not monetized. There's not enough here to be monetized. I don't have enough followers or anything like that. And I don't have enough viewing hours. It takes a minute to get monetized. Too much time on how many are here. Well, no, reason I asked that, Rusty, is because I don't want to, I worry about being on here too long. So I was trying to work out a balance because, some people don't have the time to spend like hours in one chat room or a live stream. So I worry about the numbers because I'm trying to figure out the path forward, about doing this weekly, doing this at the right day at the right time. And the topics come, we see the same news every week, so we all know what topics that we need to talk about. To me, that's not the problem. My problem is I don't want to be so not engaging enough to keep your attention. And I understand, I don't know exactly when to cut it off. Does that make sense? Because I like, as long as people are engaging with me in the chat room, I've said this before, I like just staying here and hanging out. But I want to make it to where it's a structured deal and people can depend on it. You know what I'm saying? Like a regular program. You can depend on me being here at the same time every week and we'll at least talk for, you know, I was gonna try to do it for an hour, but honestly, nothing ever is an hour. The 2 hours seems to be pretty good. But I had last time I did a live stream, and the internet went out. Those who are here, it was there when that happened. The internet went out in this whole part of Ohio. So I had to split that into two live streams, and that was over 5.5 hours live streaming. So that was kind of crazy. That's kind of cool too, that people want to hang out that long. Yeah, Papa, we're similar, my friend. We are similar. Um, they did surgery on my knee. They had to because I crushed when I fell. I cracked everything, and all kinds of broken material was caught up into different parts around my leg. It had spread out from my knee. But anyways, they won't do any more surgeries to fix anything unless it's life threatening because of I got a heart condition and I got severe high blood pressure, and so I'm pretty much stuck with what's deteriorated in my body. It's going to stay that way. It's just going to get worse. I'll probably be in a wheelchair. I'm going to assume within 4 years. Yeah, Rusty, life does roll on, brother. That's true. Donna, I take it. Are you local? Because guys, I will. Anybody who wants an update on Springfield, Ohio, I don't mind updating anybody who wants the update here. Yeah, neuropathy is a horrible thing to have. Um, the medications they put you on does all kinds of bad things to the rest of your body, and honestly, without it, um, uh, it's hard to explain the pain. So I won't even get into it. But I guess we all deal with certain things in life. So I don't want to narrow you down to where you live. I live on the west end of Springfield, Donna. Not sure where you're at. Um, I was going to say, here's the funny thing. Everybody, this is a small town, but there's a lot of people I don't know, and there's a lot of people that don't know me for sure. It's a small town, kinda. But like all these people that were at the city meetings, doing those 3 minute waste of time speeches. Hey, Ellie, how you doing? But those 3 minutes of their life, they'll never get back to keep going down there and trying to express their concerns at the local city meetings. Those people, all them people, their videos, and what's funny is it's not their videos. They are clipped from other people's videos, and their lives went viral. And, those are the people that everybody, I got asked about a lot, and I don't know any of them because I never want to waste my time because I knew it was a waste of time going down there to express your concerns in our local uh, council meetings. But I feel for those guys that have been and still doing it. They go down there and voice their concerns, and the only thing that's changed is now the people who don't like them or don't like their point of view of all this, um, they have no problems calling them names to their face anymore or just down and out talk nasty about them. I mean, their lives have probably gotten a little worse, I would imagine. And I've only talked to one. I've mentioned this before. I've decided to do my part and try to get to know these people and put together a small documentary about this town. Oh, I Donna, you'll probably know this term very well, depending on how old you are. Uh, I'm a terrace rat. You put Bechtel in there, it kind of sets the location for you. So I don't know if you're old enough to know what that is. But anyways, back to the Springfield deal. Um, Whenever I title something and I want to have a conversation with people or I want to update people, it is true. Every time I put Springfield, Ohio into the title, I get a lot of clicks, there are a lot of views. Um, yeah, Bechtel's spelt different than that, but yeah, I grew up right off of Bechtel. Of course, when I grew up, sorry, people who are not from Springfield, uh, where Myers and all that is, that used to be nothing but cornfield. And Bechtel stopped right there at the intersection where it goes into the rest of Bechtel now. Uh, you could only go left or right. The rest of it was just a cornfield. And then I 68 um, stopped uh, just before the assembly plant out there. I can't remember what's in 334, I think it was. That's where Route 68 stopped. And we used to drag race out there because there was nobody out there. I can say that now because that's been too many years. The local law ain't gonna come after me no more. Although I've not always been the friend of our local law, and it's not because I didn't want to be their friend. They did not want to be mine. But yeah, I can put together as far as people still want to know about Springfield. Um, I can do a regular update every Friday when I do this. When I start at 6:30, I can do a Springfield, Ohio update, and I don't. It's not always going to be in the title of the live stream, but I like to get as many people in the live stream as possible. That way, I feel like I'm doing something important instead of this just being a personal vanity thing. I'm going to try to do more. And also, like I said, my head's been in the sand as far as local stuff around here. I'm just an old car guy, just no mechanic. So I pretty much stay to myself. And if you wasn't into cars, I probably don't know you. Hey, Frank, you live in Springfield too. See, Donna and Frank there, I probably don't know neither one of them. You know what I mean? Because they have their names in there, and none of their names come to mind to me. So that's how big this small town is. We got people right here in this chat room. We don't know each other. We're all from Springfield. Let me ask you something, Donna. When you go to the stores, do you have the same problem with the Haitians that gets reported all the time by the other young ladies of this town? I know my girlfriend. I have personal, and not just my girlfriend. One of my granddaughters uh, was so upset not too long ago. Was telling a story about them trying to rub up against her while she was in the checkout lane, getting right up on her, and she'd tell them to move, and they just look at her, and they're, it's just like it's just kind of grosses me out. I'm glad I wasn't there. I'd probably be in jail because I don't know how to explain it. I don't put up with a lot of bullshit. Oh, oh, I see what you're saying. My bad, Frank. Apologize. Don't mean to put you in this location. It's probably not someplace most people would like to say they're at. Uh, Cincy, that's I think yeah, I think you told me that before, and I apologize when I forget stuff like that, Frank, because I've talked to a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds, and sometimes it takes the reoccurring people uh, keep coming in. Uh, Stephanie, Papa. We've been talking to Papa there last week or so. Town of 1,500, Papa. Heck, that is small. Yeah, Stephanie, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was wanting to ask Donna if she's had that. Well, it doesn't matter if your age there, Donna. There's some women that's been down at that council meeting, uh, up in age, talking about this very same problem. So I don't think age always keeps you from having to deal with stuff like that. They're just it's a strange population of people, and I realize that their world is 180 different than ours. Uh, but the most recent thing as far as updates here, guys, some people already know this because I mentioned it before. But I don't know how many people's in this room, but they're now they go through all this. The money that was given to this town was not to help this town. It was to rejuvenate the clinic where the Haitians go to for their medical care. So that 2.5 million went to them basically, not to any local actual U.S. citizens here in town. So now they're offering not English class for them, no English classes. They're offering Creole classes for those of us who don't know how to speak Creole here. That kind of just, when I heard that, I was, and it's just like, mm. This whole situation is not going in the direction that it should be going, and hopefully it'll change. It ain't going to change next week. It ain't going to change next month, and probably the month after that. But in February, that's when shit needs to roll on and get done. So we'll see what happens here in this little town. Yeah, but now they're turning. I'm talking, sorry, to the local person here. Yeah, now the mall is just a bunch of Rital, which is a computer cabinet company, now has the area that J.C. Penney used to be in at the mall. And now we're losing things like we only have one place to go to the movies now. They finally closed down our last drive-in here. I mean, I'm so sick of fast food restaurants. That seems to be the only thing that ever thrives in this town is gas stations and fast food restaurants. Um, you know, and there's no really high quality restaurants around anymore either. And there's no real entertainment. I mean, they have like a skating rink for the kids, which is good, but they're always having problems with the water. They have like this, I'll call it a water park, but it's the local pool. Um, so that place is off and on as far as being safe, not safe, because they have parts of the community that goes there as a big group, and they cause trouble. So it's not something that people just want to drop their kids off and go do in the summertime. Yeah, Donna, and and it's sad because there's a lot of people that feel that way, and it's not because they're bad people for feeling that way. It's because the Haitians have made them feel that way. It's not like something that you automatically think of when they're around you. It's just that's how they are. They make you feel that way. They make plenty of people feel uncomfortable. It's like they're not trying to assimilate at all. They're really not. You get some that's been here. Some of them's been here since like 2018. Now those people speak English. Those are the ones that actually owns the businesses, the local restaurant, the Haitian restaurant, and stuff like that. And they're the ones are starting to buy properties. And basically, I feel like they're taking advantage of their own people because they're starting to buy these properties and doing the same thing as George Tenet and them are doing, creating these bunkhouse situations. But now that is one good thing. I'll give you another update. The FBI, I think it's the local one out of, I'm going to say Cincinnati, uh, are investigating the numbers of people living in one house situation. So we'll see where that goes. But they never did any driving classes. They were supposed to. All they're doing is passing out tickets. So the Highway State Patrol comes in here and patrols certain roads in town, and they're giving out tickets. They're not trying to improve the driving skill of any of them or anything like that. So really, it's the town is not any better off. And Donna, you could probably agree with me on that. Nothing has improved. Yeah, I've been asked many times, Donna, and again, I know this. I say this because I was actually in the BMV getting my sticker for my license plate, and that's the same place where they get their uh, driver's license when they or actually get a permit. Uh, but come find out, the reason why so many of them have a permit is because they don't speak English, so they get to have a translator with them when they take the written test. The translator's been telling them the answers on the written test, so that's why so many of them have driver permits. And all it requires is you to be 18 years old and pass that written test, and you get a permit, and you can drive so many months on that permit. And then all they do is renew the permit. They don't never get their driver's license. So there is no improvement. They are learning how to drive on the same city streets that we drive on to get around with no real direction on how to drive right. We have, Donna, and this town had a beautiful history. You used to go downtown or go to the library and used to see all the portraits and the photographs and the paintings from around the era when this town, all the roads were red brick. I don't know, you probably remember that. When I was growing up, there was a lot of roads here that were all red brick, and it took them years to transfer over from red brick to asphalt. But this town was downtown was, and it's modern now. So, but there's not really nothing downtown that brings a lot of interest to people to come down there. There's a couple of little shops, but there used to be like there's a nightclub and a restaurant across town, across the street from the police station. But I don't know anybody goes there, so I don't know what kind of business they do. I personally don't want to go to a place like that across from the police station, if you know what I mean. It's not my first place to go and hang out. Well, Rusty, if they get, if they get a driver's license here, they pretty much don't get questioned about anything else if they want to vote. They can fill out that registration form, and as far as I know, there's nobody that's even questioning the the actual citizenship of the person. As long as you got a driver's license and you're registered to vote, there's no real details. You know how they say details in the devil's in the details. Well, there's a lot of devil here. They are rude, Donna. They are very, very rude. Um, but not all of them. I can't say that about all of them. They are not all rude. The ones that have been here for a few years, like I said, they they are not rude because they've assimilated, but they're not doing any justice for their own people. They're just trying to get rich on them, just like everybody else. They are literally taking advantage of them not knowing the ways of the world here. And the ones that are not working are taking advantage of our system. So, because not all of them are working. I People ask me that all the time. Well, you go down to where the uh, jobs and family services um, lines are out the door. People are standing out there, leaning against the railings on the stairs, waiting to be uh, serviced to get their help because they're not required to look for a job for a year. Once they get here, they go down, they fill out their paperwork, uh, they get their some get an E. It's weird. I think it depends on what status they're here under, because not all of them are here under that temporary protective status. Some are here under a refugee status. I don't know why or how that even happens. I don't know. I just know some of them get their money through that FEMA budget, and some of them get there's some kind of financial federal financial assistance for the refugees. So some of them get an EBT card, and some of them get a Bank of America card. But there's a significant line down there every day, so there's a whole bunch of them that are not working. Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you what I was told about their cars, Donna, and anybody else who wants to know. Everybody asks how all these people have nice cars, and those who live here know that most of the time these cars they don't last long enough to get an actual metal plate on the car. They get the temporary tag that you get that they tape in the window when you buy it off the car lot. Um, so one of the big culprits here in town, from what I understand, and like I said, this is just I haven't went down and talked to the dealership themselves, which I plan on doing if I get this documentary off the ground that I want to make. Um, they're making deals with all these people on the trade-ins. Jeff Weiler, Chevrolet. Uh, a lot of their cars that they take in as trade-ins. Um, so instead of sending them off to the auction or going through them and then putting them back out on the car lot, that rarely ever that don't happen because what they take their trade-ins are usually not the cars that they sell on the lot as far as the make and models. So they usually send them to auction. Well, now they're making deals through the Haitian Community Outreach Center to sell these cars to these people that are all trade-in cars. So it's kind of like a buy here, pay here deal. Um, but I mean, it's a little bit different. They actually do it through a bank, I guess. But it's still, that's how they're getting nice cars. They're usually trade-ins from this Jeff Weiler local car lot, and it's not a small car lot; it's a big car lot. Yeah, it's like bumper cars here, that's for sure. It still is too. I can tell you, people has asked, how do I know about their bad driving? Um, well, I can tell you two exact stories that I was personally involved with. I was going eastbound on a street that goes all the way through town here. That's a four lane, for the most part. It winds off at a certain point, but I'm in the third lane over on the right side, and there's cars at the next traffic light, and there's cars that are with us. So we take off from the traffic light, and before we get to the other traffic light, the car all the way over on the right side of me speeds out in front of all of us and does a U turn to come back our way. Now, this is a one way road, all four lanes one way. And I know they was Haitians because I was hollering at them, "You're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way." And they're hollering foreign language back at me, which I found out later it was Creole, because it was I guess some of them speak a little French, which is Creole and French, something like that. It's weird that they have multiple languages in the same country, although I guess we have English and Spanish here. Um, yeah, Donna, that's what I'm saying. This town used to be awesome. It, you know, International Harvester was here. It's Navistar now, but the company is so diminished now from what it used to be. It used to be, they made farm equipment when they started out, and then they got into the trucking industry. And I think they should have stuck to just farm equipment, to be honest with you. But, anyways, I digress. So that's one thing. The guy doing the U turn on the one way, going back the other direction. And then they never stopped, they just kept going. And, so it's like I lost. They got out of sight of me because I light changed. We're pulling away. I'm going where I was on my way anyway. I'll lose them. I don't know where they ever turned off at. Um, so that's one instance. So, second instance, Bechtel Avenue. I was out by, sorry for shaking it, Home Depot, and I was coming back south on Bechtel, and there was a car in front of me, and one person, you can see them wailing their arms. It's like you could tell they were like arguing or something. I don't know. The car veers off the road on the curb, clips the light pole, keeps on going. Bumper hanging off, dragging on the one side. So we get up, and there's a traffic light, and they stopped. And I'm pulling up to them. I've got to see what the hell's going on here. What is wrong with these people? And they're arguing with each other in a foreign language. And they kept driving that car with the bumper hanging down on it. I'm surprised it didn't rip off and get caught underneath the right wheel. But that's what you got to deal with in this town. And I guarantee if they ever got pulled over by the cops would let them go, because I've seen that a couple of times to where you see an accident and you see them pulling away with the car that was in the accident that has body parts hanging off of it. One person laid the body part on the trunk and strapped it down and left the accident scene after the cops did their deal. It's like Twilight Zone when it comes to driving around here. Yeah, they're here. I always say legally, legally. or illegally, legally. Uh, we have that little thing, that temporary protective status and the refugee status, and there has to be something wrong to this point or this part, because it should be something that goes through Congress and it gets passed, and these people can do this, come here, or whatever. This got done through executive order through Joe Biden. So this is not actually something that actually got approved by Congress. So I say, illegally, legally. But and I get it. We've all seen videos of what's going on in their country. Now, I don't want to sound heartless, but if that kind of stuff started happening here, I wouldn't pack up and move to another country. I'd pull out the old arsenal and go and start doing something in my own country to make it better. I wouldn't just run to another country. So I feel like they're weak in that way. They should. And the families, the women and children, if you can get them out of harm's way, more power to them. I get it, but all these people that come recently, and they're still coming, by the way, that's not stopped. They still come here by the busloads, not full busloads, but by the busload, they're still coming, and 90% of them are military-aged young men. That's concerning to me. It's like, because our government is picking and choosing who they are shipping over here. Now, a lot of the people that are in our town are coming from other parts of the country because, uh, their relatives or somebody they know told them, hey, come to this town, you get this, this, and this, and this, and it's all great. So if they're not thriving somewhere else in another part of the country, then they've came here. But when they come here, and I've seen it personally, I got pictures of it. Even one of the pictures is one of my thumbnails in one of my videos. They were all military-age young men getting off the bus, and that Haitian Community Outreach Center people was there to greet them. So they were scheduled to come here. It's not like they just jumped off the bus and nobody knew they were coming. And they're still coming. So that number grows every month that they originally claimed when this whole stuff kicked off here. Yeah, Donna, I think everybody who lives here who has to drive has seen and heard of the same thing I'm talking about. Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie, the rudeness of our mayor and our council people. Like I said, I say it's 3 minutes you'll never get back, but it's more than that. You got to go in there, you got to fill out a card so you can get in line to be able to speak. So you got to get there an hour before, whatever. And then if you plan on staying there and listening to the rest of the people talk, then you got that amount of time. But honestly, it's 3 minutes of my speaking, trying to get something across to them to maybe improve something around here, would be 3 minutes of my life that I would never get back, and it'd be wasted. And I was just saying, I don't know if some of you guys were in here earlier, our mayor, there's a video out there floating around and I watched it. Our mayor has apologized for being white. So you have that, which, don't care if you're white, black, brown, green. You should never apologize for being you. Nobody should. I mean, that just tells you how weak he is. But he's making money on this whole deal, just like the rest of them. So honestly, I think he did it just because we have a woke government in place right now, and he wanted to be part of that group because money flows. The money is flowing through them. Yeah, now on election day, on my car channel, and I tell you why I put it on my car channel, uh, because I didn't want to saturate each channel with me on it all the time doing something. Um, but I feel like there's a different group of people, and honestly, a larger number of people who would probably log on when I go live election night on my card channel. So I wanted to get on there, and I didn't. And it's kind of like a series because I'm trying things all the time. All the time, I'm trying to figure out where can I uh, best serve uh, to improve things in my town, in our lives, not just mine, but our lives. And if there's some information I can pass along that somebody doesn't know, and then like during the when they had the hurricane down there in North Carolina, I passed along information there on people who wanted to donate, not to FEMA, but to another group of people, and also donate time. I want to be positive that way. But so, anyways, it's going to be on my car channel, Empty Pockets Garage, and I wanted to do a night out version of live stream. All right, Rusty. See, that's what I'm talking about. I never know when to stop. Uh, I just always go with the live stream till we're done talking, and that's a hard time to sometimes to figure out. Sorry, I'm still trying to read everybody's comments in here because I want to engage as much as possible. Oh, thanks, Natalie. Yeah, Donna, that's you live here in town. I've mentioned that before. We all know about them purchasing firearms, and they're not carrying them. They're not open carrying around here. That's for sure. So I have a good source saying that they are storing them at one, maybe two houses in town, in case the election doesn't go the way they want it to go. Now that's just. I hope that's just a bad rumor, but the one person that has told me that before this town ever got famous for all this. So there was no reason to talk about that, or even, I mean, they knew about them buying firearms before it became a story here. So that kind of like connected the dots for me. It's like, that person knew stuff about this before it was even like something to talk about. So there was nobody interface trying to interview them, or they weren't trying to get 15 minutes of fame or anything like that. They were telling me this stuff before it was even a deal. And they went MIA. I was worried about them there for a while when all these people were running around here with cameras and sticking mics in everybody's face. The person that told me about this went MIA, and I was worried about them. And they popped up 2 weeks later and explained it was a completely different deal. But that's how concerned I was about this. Is when I couldn't get a hold of them, what's going on here? But they're not like an upstanding citizen of the community. So I just want to say that. So uh, you probably, it's not like they're uh, somebody goes out here and it's just part of the working community, because the person that told me this is not. But there's a reason why they know these things. Is because they infiltrate through the group of them that are not so nice people. So the information is solid, but not confirmed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Donna. It will be against us, and I hope I'm wrong. Uh, you know what I mean? But why would this person know this? And before this town even got famous, and why would it be something similar to what we're all concerned about right now? You know what I mean? Yeah, as far as our local government, I don't think they're all crooks. Uh, I do think they're all pieces of work in their own way, if you know what I mean. Um, there's a couple of them that I know I do not like, not professionally, not personally. I do not like them at all. I don't think I would ever be friends with any of them. And I don't mean any of them like at all of them, but the couple people that I'm talking about. And some of them, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to call nobody out, good or bad. Uh, uh, some of them are kind of lost in this whole situation. Uh, like I said, there's three of them that I uh, recently found out that they're going to be up for reelection this coming year, and they're not going to try to get reelected because this has been too much for them. They didn't like all this heat. They couldn't handle all this heat, so they're going to get out of the kitchen. Well, Natalie, on that, what you just purchased, remember one thing: unless you purchase something that travels through those do you no good. So I have few of the tools to use, but I have many of the accessories that is needed to operate those tools. That's more important than having a large number of tools. And I don't want to say too much about that because YouTube uh, has their community guidelines on the language that you use and the subjects that you talk about. And I don't want to be get a strike or have my channel removed just because I broke the rules. I want to be able to communicate with everybody and try not to break any rules at the same time. That is correct, Donna, on that statement there. About everybody needs to be. And I don't know about the people you hang around with, but my family and friends are always prepared for that. And we're a prepper. It's like I gave a list of things uh, a week or so ago about things you need to have on hand in case civil unrest happens. Because there are things that could happen and happen in a hurry. And like it's hard to start from 0 to 100 right now because we're so close to the election. But things may not jump off right on Wednesday. It may not jump off till February or January 20th or even January 6th or something like that. But you always need, having those kind of tools is good, but you're going to have to survive during that same time. So you should have 3 to 6 months worth of food. If you got the ability to have a generator, and seeing everybody thinks about the big items, but they don't think about the small items. Like the tools that you need, that's projectiles, you need the things that go in them to be projectiles. That's just as important, actually more important, because if you run out, your tool is useless to you if you run out of what you need to put through it. Um, but food, if possible, 3 to 6 months. I have 6 months worth myself. But generators, you know, even if it's a small generator, just to run your refrigerator and freezer or something. And if it's winter time, you need a bigger generator because you need a furnace. But yeah, Donna, there's a few people that seen that. I've seen them at the counter, but I've never actually seen them purchase. But I have seen them at the counter when I went in and bought my ammo. But getting back to the stuff you need to prep for, if you got a generator, get what you can afford. The more things you can power up at your house, the better off you are. But just like the tools that um, Donna's talking about, um, the generator's no good without gas, guys. So having just like one 5 gallon can, thinking that if you run out, you're just going to go down to the gas station and get 5 more gallons. No, if you're in that situation, things like getting regular deliveries into the gas stations is not going to probably be possible. So I always say have enough fuel to run a generator 3 to 5 days minimum. So if it's more than one 5 gallon can, you need probably 20 gallons plus. And then I don't have my list with me here, but um, I wish I did have my list. I don't have my list. I'm trying to think at the top of my head here. Um, keep a bug out bag. For those that don't know what that is, uh, it's where you have a bag in your closet that's ready if you have to leave town in a damn hurry. If you got family members that are like in a lesser populated area, like down in the hills, someplace or whatever, and you feel more comfortable about, riding that kind of a situation out, then have a bug out bag ready. You know, and like I always make sure I have a 4 wheel drive in my arsenal of vehicles that I own. I actually have two 4 wheel drives now, uh, but you know, and not everybody thinks about that kind of thing, because you shouldn't have to in America. It's sad that we're in this position that we're even thinking about this kind of stuff. Uh, but what are you gonna do? Here we are. This is the position we're in, and we got to think about these things. Yeah, Natalie, the solar generators. Yes. Now I have solar lighting, so I have lights at night if I need them if the electric goes out. So yeah, that's always a good thing too. Yeah, this whole I was reading a comment about being sad and scary situation. This whole thing is sad that we even got to think about this. But they're already threatening to not allow him to take office even if he wins the election. And if all the polls is right, he he's on path to not even win, but also have the popular vote, which a Republican rarely ever gets. So if that happens, it's not over. That's why I say I'm not going to be able to take a deep breath till January 20th. Yeah, Donna, that's good. And here's what I tell people too. We've positioned ourselves here in my household that if I have a neighbor in need, I'm not so stingy as not to help my neighbor. If I have neighbors who didn't think about all this and whether they need protection, they're allowed to come into my home and I'll protect them. If they are hungry and can't get to the grocery store because of all this stuff, I'll be able to help feed them. Um, so I'm not just prepared for myself. Yeah, Natalie, I started preparing 6 years ago. I got cabinets and shelving and skids of food in storage here. Yeah, 50 gallons. That's a good number. Like, it depends on how much fuel your generator goes through. Living here in town, like my house was built in 1891. And I have the regular plot here in Springfield. There's not much space between my house and my neighbors' houses because the houses are so big that the yards ain't much wider than the houses. So saying that, there's not a whole lot of stuff you can store as far as like I wouldn't have a place to store 50 gallons of fuel. So I keep um, fuel and I try to run through it. I try to run it through my cars because you can't just let fuel lay stagnant. If I got a fuel tank or a fuel can that's been laying back there for 6 months or whatever, I'll dump it in the cars and go fill them back up. Because those kind of things you got to pay attention to because bad fuel will not run your generator. Yeah, Stephanie, that's where the larger the generator, the better off you are. And the more generator that you can get, the price goes way up. If you got one that'll run 220 uh, appliances in your house, and in which is the furnace, my stove is electric. I got 2 refrigerators and a deep freezer. So it takes a lot of power to run those things. That's why I like the solar lighting, so I don't have to worry about relying on a generator to have a light. But saying that, we all can be more prepared. But we live in town. It's kind of like you all this stuff you have. You're preparing for bad weather. Is basically how you look at it until something like this pops up. You never think we'd be here about this. So you do these things to prepare for bad weather. Because I've lived out in a rural area where I've lost electric for 10 days before. You don't think about that in town too much. But when you're out in the country, you think about that a lot, and especially in the wintertime. Um, it was a bad ice storm year. We had ice storm like crazy, and it took out several lines. And so we didn't have electric for 10 days. Yeah, Donna, it's the older generation that teaches us stuff like this because they don't expect to have help back in the day. You know what I mean? They didn't have all the stuff that we have today, the first responders like we do today or anything like that. So they self-reliant is what they was. Not relying on anybody else but themselves. So back in the day, back in the frontier days, if you wasn't cutting and chopping wood all summer long, you froze to death in the winter. You know what I mean? If you didn't hunt, you didn't eat. If you didn't plant, you didn't eat. So that's self-reliance. Today, a person, and you don't expect them to because we're in a different world today, but if they were tossed out in a frontier situation, most people in this country would die today, unfortunately. So that's it's a touchy subject to talk about. You have to watch, especially with the YouTube language, about how you speak on stuff like that. So because they could take it as you're trying to be hateful because of why we're talking about it here in town. It could be considered hateful language towards a group of people, and I don't want that either because that's not what I'm trying to do. So got to watch what you do, watch what you say. But I still want to get out here and talk about the subjects of the day that concerns all of us. Yeah, fuel additive is okay, but generators are touchy things to keep running uh, because it's usually a small engine, and it's when you're engaging a lot of outlet to it, like your power that you're pulling from it, it puts a serious draw on that little motor. And if the fuel is not top notch, ready to go. Additives work fine if it's something that's already running, but to get something started, if you run out of fuel, it's usually not the best. But once you get it running, it'll stay running with it. But hopefully, we're talking about things that we probably ain't even got to worry about. That's just that's a prepper's world, as they say. Um, also, the art of canning food is almost a forgotten art. I always tell people, if you don't know how to can, learn how to can and can your foods. Um, we have a garden at our house, and we live in town, and we get a lot of stuff out of our little garden. So it's possible to have enough food that will last through at least part of the winter of fresh food that's canned, and it gives you a treat too. Like I used to go and uh, you know, not that I can strawberries, but we used to get strawberries and apples and you know pears. Used to go to these farms and pick all this stuff by the bushel. You get paid by the bushel, and then the two older ladies in my neighborhood when I was a little kid taught us how to can when we were little. It's something I never forgot. Live like the Amish. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Amish, they, I guess it's probably in this country, it's like the last untainted community as far, and trust me, the modern world is trying to taint their way of life every day. Um, people get mad at their horse and buggy deal and stuff like that because they share the same roads we share. And if you've ever been in Amish country and you're out in a winding road through the hills of Ohio and you got the horse and buggy in front of you, yeah, you wish they wasn't there for a little while. We'll just say that. And they're not assholes either. As soon as they find a place where they can pull over out of the way to let you go by, they do. But then you got to be careful and don't spook their horses. But the Amish people are decent people. I've had interactions with them over the years, ever since I was a kid. So it's not a life for everybody, I guess, because of the reason why they're Amish, their religion, but their way of life is pretty cool. Medicine. What kind of medicine do you make there, Donna? Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to have a pause here. I was reading the chat room. I learned just as much doing these live things as any of you guys learned from me. If you learn anything at all, if anything, it's entertaining to watch some old fart sit in front of a screen and ramble on about life and the situation that we find ourselves in. So it's like this name, Jimmy Pockets. I've never been a Jimmy in my life. My name is James, but when this whole thing kicked off here in Springfield, people started calling me Jimmy Pockets. And I mentioned this earlier. They thought my channel was monetized when I made those videos, and they thought I banked big money when I made them, and I did not make a dime. So they kept saying, instead of empty pockets, Jimmy has full pockets. So Jimmy Pockets. So that's why I decided to name this channel Jimmy Pockets, which I don't mind it being called Jimmy. But I've been a James all my life. I don't know what I look like. Some people say I look like a Jimmy. I don't know. But I'll stick with it. Jimmy Pockets it is. If that's what people want to know me by, we're good with that. Thanks, Ellie. It's people like you who I don't know how to explain it. It humbles me big time. It really does to have people uh, support me like just like what you just did there, Ellie. Because I never thought, that I would end up doing this and that people would appreciate my way of talking about things. And I'm assuming that's what it is. It's not necessarily always what we say, but how we say it. So I try to be as accommodating as possible, and I'm an old mechanic, so how they call locker room talk. Well, the mechanics talk a certain way too, and I have tried to retrain myself of the language that I use because I realize that there is a buttload of people that watches these things, and not everybody understands what locker room talk is. So, if anything, it has improved me in trying to communicate without using all the extra words in between in certain lines of every sentence that I talk. So, if anything, I appreciate that alone has helped me tame down some of my language, I guess you would say. How you, Donna? How you have chickens? Can I ask? Because we're not supposed to be allowed to have chickens in town. Yeah, Papa's good old boy talk. True, but still, not everybody can appreciate the way you know. They some people say sailor talk, locker room talk, whatever. It's just an excuse to have a poor vocabulary because my mom used to say, although she used a few of them words herself, um, if you have to use language like that, then you've lost the ability to communicate. So if you can't communicate without using those type of words, then there's something wrong with the message. But when you're in a shop with a bunch of mechanics, that nobody cares. It is what it is. But I'm not talking to those mechanics at this moment. I am speaking to men and women who I'm sure a lot of you guys are far more educated than I am. That I probably assure you that you are. And I would like to be able to communicate on at your level. Uh, so it's if anything, it's taught me how to speak a little better. At least I hope. Um, but saying that, I tell you what, it's 9:37, and could somebody tell me how many people's in the room? Because I don't know. I want to. I'm going to do this again. Hopefully, I won't have problems. 11. Okay, well that's what I'm seeing. Somebody earlier said that I had 30 shown in the room, and I was only seeing 9. So, anyways, if you're up that late, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, election night, on the Empty Pockets Garage channel, it's my night owl. That's what I call my night owl version. I'm going to try to do that Tuesday night, Wednesday mornings on a regular basis. I don't know if it'll be enough to do it every week because a lot of the times, the last time I did that, a lot of the people I spoke to were from across the pond, which is good. And some people can't sleep like me, and they got nobody to talk to in the middle of the night when everybody else is in bed and you're just sitting there watching TV or whatever, reading a book. Sometimes you just want to communicate with somebody, pass the time away. But why wouldn't you have access, Frank? Yeah, ladies, if you're there, if you're not there, I understand. It's going to be 1 a.m. in the morning. Like I said, that endeavor that I'm wanting to do there is kind of like I say this, like I started this channel for me because I didn't want to talk all politics on my car channel. But I figure if I go live at 1 a.m. in the morning, that really doesn't affect the rest of the content on that channel because I've been trying to be more consistent for my car content for those people who watch that for my car content. Um, oh, I'm traveling. Okay, I got you. 4 chickens. Okay, I did not know that because I tell you why I asked about the chickens, Donna. Um, we were raising rabbits. My girlfriend's daughter was wanting to sell them. Uh, we want her to try anything that she's interested in to learn something and whatever. Anyways, our rabbit pit or cage is fairly large, but it's attached to the part of the house nobody. It's got a privacy fence around it and everything. And but she stuck a sign out in our front yard that said "Rabbits for sale, $20." Well, the city code enforcement guy asked about it. And I said, why? He said, well, you can't raise rabbits in city limits. You can have a pet in your house, but you can't raise them in quantity. And and then he said, same thing as chickens. You're not allowed to have chickens in city limit either. I said, oh shit. We were actually going to start doing chickens, but we didn't. So, anyways, we showed him where the rabbit cage was, and he was impressed with the size of it, and it's even heated. So, we did a pretty cool job. My I'll call her my stepdaughter because I'm not married to her mom, but we should be. But anyways, he said, as long as Biden ever complains about it, I'm not going to say nothing to you because it's not a nuisance where you have it. So, there's a lot of things you can't do in town that you can do out in the county. So, anyways, so we'll put that subject to rest. So, for those that can make it, election night, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the election. So, I'm sure that it will be the subject that everybody will be interested in. And, a lot of people, uh, if they're up, the election is going to be an anxiety uh, filled day for a lot of people. So why not come and hang out? So we can have conversation about what's going on. And we may be talking about some shenanigans that's going on. You never know. But we'll be able to talk about it. I'm going to try to have a couple of stations up and going while I can watch them at the same time so we can do live updates on what's going on while I'm talking on the live stream. And then we'll take it from there. And then also, next Wednesday, 6:30, uh, on that asshole's opinion channel, WTF Wednesday. I'll be live streaming with those gentlemen this week again. Actually, it'll be every week. It's going to be a constant deal, and I'm going to try to migrate some videos over to their channel, like how I just make a video, as you guys have seen a few times. I'm sure something will be stuck in my head, and I'll just have to make a video and then post it. And no matter, and a lot of times I'll post that thing at 2:30 in the morning because that's when I'm up doing something because I can't sleep. Uh, but they're not. They don't. So far, they're not so inclined to have my videos on their channel yet. They're pretty good with just the live streaming right now, with them once a week. So my videos will be on this channel. That's anything non-car related. But like I said, 6:30 on Wednesday with them gentlemen, and then 6:30 Friday right here on the Jimmy Pockets YouTube channel. Hopefully, I won't have any problems. We'll get it kicked off, and it'll be kicked off right. And I'm gonna try to have more notes. I've been trying my best. This has turned into a little job, and I'm retired. Between doing car content and this, I feel like I got a real job that don't pay anything. But it's been so interesting. It's fun. It's actually fun. I really enjoy it. So we'll we'll see how long this new career of mine lasts. It may fizzle out in a month or two, but it's hard telling. What's your car question, Stephanie? Papa, I feel for you, brother. Hopefully you can convince your wife one day. But yes, what's the car question? Yeah, Ellie, I agree with that too. That's what's made this so much fun for me. It's the world. If they find me by browsing by accident or subscribe because of the other stuff for Springfield, it it's a place to have an outlet to listen to something. It's not always a different subject, but it's a different way of. I think I have a different way I communicate compared to what most people that are in this. I don't know, world or whatever you want to call it, in this place of communication or whatever. I'm not thinking of the correct word right now, but I'm different than everybody else. That's all I'm saying. And I don't want to be like everybody else, but I also want to be interested enough that this grows and I get better at it, and we just keep doing this until whenever. But yeah, so the car question, Stephanie. Um, I'm ready. I'm ready to answer a car question. That's another thing on the other channel. Uh, if you have a car question, it don't have to be on that channel. It may be on this one. Feel free to ask. And if I don't have the answer, I will research it and give you an answer on the next live stream. So if you know that kind of thing helps. Thanks, Natalie. Can I say something about the ladies? The ladies are awesome. They really are. I am so appreciative of the ladies. Um, you you get analytics on what your uh, videos that you post or your live stream or whatever. It tells you who's watching. And I thought it was pretty cool that on my car channel that it was like 40 some percent of the people watching my car channel was women. And on this channel, it's I can't remember. It's more than men. It's what I was going to say. The percentage is more than men that watches me on this channel. So I find that to be awesome, and I want to thank the ladies. But what is the car question there, Stephanie? You know, Natalie, I don't even change my own oil, and I'll tell you why. Because, for one thing, it's hard for me to get up and down off the ground, but that's not the main reason. Uh, by the time I buy oil, the filter, do the work, change the oil, then you have the used oil. You have to take it in somewhere because you don't want to dump it in the ground. In the old days, they used to just, if you had a gravel driveway or whatever, they would just run the oil up and down the edge of the driveway. But then, like I said, then you got to carry it in to dispose of it. Well, if you figure the cost that they charge you to change your oil at an oil place, um, I just let them change my oil. Now I have specific oil that I use, so I don't let them change the oil that's their brand. I have specific oil that I use in all my cars, and it's done me well for decades. Hubby's front brights went out the other day. The main light was out too. He came. So if both lights, it's rare that you have it's a light bulb problem if both lights go out. But saying that, I have seen double light failure before. It's unusual, but it has happened. Um, the only thing I can say is, and depends on what kind of car you got. Some lights are hard to get to, even headlights. Um, all right, Ellie. My Canada people love Canada. I got good people in the car community. Canada people love them. Thank you for coming in. But the headlight thing, I'm gonna say you did say it's headlights, right? Front brights. Okay. If you don't feel like messing with that yourself, any parts outlet, and I don't necessarily mean like AutoZone. Um, like I'll give you an example here. Where am I at here? I used to work for O'Reilly's part time, and I was their guy that everybody come to the counter. They had a question that wasn't uh, they couldn't answer by make, model, year, and that's how they find a car part. If it's something that was just part oriented itself, these people behind the counter didn't know what they were looking for. They didn't know how to look it up. So I was that guy. Uh, like if you had an off wheel bearing, or if you like, because I'm used to building stuff from scratch. So like a universal joint may not be the universal joint that come in that car, whatever it may be. I could find it for the customer by the part, not by the make, model, and year of the vehicle. But anyways, they will pull the light for you, and if they can't, they'll tell you ahead of time because it'll pop up on their computer that this is something that cannot be done with regular tools. It requires a specialty deal. Like some cars, you have to drop the front bumper just to get the headlight assembly out to pull that stuff. And obviously you can't do that in a parking lot. But if it's a regular headlight they can get to, they can pull them out, look at them, test them, and it won't cost you a dime. If it's a headlight, buy the headlight off of them and let them put the headlight in for you because it don't cost no more. And but if it's the headlights are good, the bulbs are good, then this probably you may have a problem with the switch in the dash. That would be the next thing I would go to, would be the light switch itself in the dash. Because can you tell me what kind of car it is? Because the reason why I ask is General Motors has as they get a little older, the headlight switches, the dimmer part on it adjusts everything, like with your interior lights come on or whatever that, and the brightness of your dash and all that. Well, those things, they go bad after a while. And General Motors, so it's a Honda. You can still have, I get ready to say, Honda's not even a foreign car anymore. So I apologize for saying foreign car because Hondas are made in America. So if it's made in America, it's an American car. Uh, But if you go and the parts outlets place tells you that the bulbs are good, then your headlight switch would be the next thing I would go to. And depending on how, and I'd have to look at it because off the top of my head, because I don't deal with customer cars anymore. It's been a while, but we wouldn't, like when I helped out at O'Reilly's, and I say helped out because I picked hours I worked, and you know, I was one of the, because of my handicap. I was the first person that ever worked there here in Springfield that was allowed to sit on a stool behind the counter. But they liked the fact that the knowledge that I had, they didn't want to get rid of me. But it come to a point to even where that was too hard to do for me. So I really liked working there. I liked helping people out. I liked answering questions and fixing problems right from a parts counter. You know, still a mechanic, even at the parts counter. But that's what I would do. That would be my advice. And if you have any more questions after that on it, if I'm not correct on that, um, and actually for cost sake, I hope for cost sake for your uh, point of view there, I hope it is just double blown bulbs. Headlight switch you can get pricey. If it is a headlight switch though, and you whether you can change it yourself, your husband, or if you have a mechanic that does it, um, I buy a good portion of my parts off eBay or Rock Auto. You can get some of these parts off Amazon, and I have no problem with Amazon because if you have a problem with the part, Amazon is very good about taking care of the problem as far as getting the part back to the manufacturer that sold it and getting your replacement or whatever, or refund your money. And so, yes, Rock Auto. But like I said, if you have to buy the part, and I hate to say, the parts house there locally, like whoever's checking your headlight bulbs out, if it is a bulb, they get to sell. You get it put in for free. Your light switch, if that's bad, none of that's for free. The labor ain't free and the part ain't free. But you price the part at the parts house and you'll get probably a 20% plus discount buying it online. That's what I say. I buy just about everything online. I save a ton of money that way. But saying that, it's 10 o'clock. Once again, I went way too long. But next Friday, I'll be here again, 6:30 Eastern. For those of you who come back and hang out with me, or if I see you Tuesday night, or if I see you Wednesday afternoon, always like hanging out, always like communicating with you guys. So, saying that, everybody, thank you for coming. I'm going to get off here, and I'll see y'all soon. Thank you, and God bless everybody. And I hope we have a safe election day. So until then, same here, Natalie. Good night, everybody.